having kids, you really learn about communication and like, and things like, it's so funny because people are like, oh, you should move in together before you like get married. And like, but I'm like, having kids, you don't know what's going to happen. Like there's no, like you can maybe get a dog, but like,
you don't really know
what's coming. No.
Welcome back to another episode of Smashed Oranges. If you have not done so already, please give us a like and subscribe down below. It really helps us bring you fresh new content every week. And with that, please welcome our guest, Miss Rachel Friesen, otherwise known as Almost Famous on Instagram.
I hate when it's said out loud.
Well, too far to
know. I know.
Rachel is a content creator, copywriter, and marketing strategist who is able to turn her passion into a full-blown agency. With over a decade of marketing experience, content creation, and social media management, she knows exactly what it takes to stand out online. For Rachel, it's not just about what to post on Instagram. It's about telling compelling stories, creating scroll-stopping content, and building a community of loyal customers and clients. Outside of the digital world, Rachel is a busy mom of a 2.5-year-old son and an 8-month-old daughter. When she's not balancing business and motherhood, you'll find her hiking in the mountains, exploring local spots around the city with her husband and their dog, or binge watching reality TV. And if you really want to win her over, a good oat milk latte and a long chat with a friend is her favorite love language. So with that, welcome, Rachel.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that sounds great.
It's like, I want to hear it again, actually. So first question, Rachel, what we really want to know is what's your first choice trash TV?
The Southern Charm reunion is on this week.
Oh.
Some Summer House, Vanderpump, RIP to Vanderpump, but Vanderpump and then Southern Charm.
Okay.
Love it.
Good to know.
Love it.
Although
I'm always looking for Rex.
Yeah, the Valley, because that's like Jax's spinoff.
Yeah.
10 out of 10. And the Mormon Wives.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
shocked everybody.
Looking forward to season 2 of that.
Same.
Oh,
I was not following, actually, I was unknowingly following a couple of them on TikTok. And then I watched it and was like, yeah, what's this?
Okay, see, I wasn't following any of them, and I was so disappointed in my like past self for like missing the like when it actually happened.
Yeah.
And so I had to catch up on like everything.
Yeah.
Despite not knowing them, it was still a great show though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I've followed them all. So
Yeah.
So, and then you go through the archives, you're like,
yes,
show me
I was
the
in a
beginning of your life.
black hole for a while.
Yeah.
So funny. So funny. Well, thank you for joining us, Rachel. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say today and hear some of our discussion.
Yeah. Me too.
I would love to know, given your extensive resume and also how busy your life is now as a mom, I would love to know how you've managed to marry the two. How are you doing so well creatively and kind of keeping your head above water with all your projects, because I know you have a lot, and also managing 2 kids? Kind of give us a bit of background on how your life is working right now.
You know, when you're like in the water and you're like, just your mouth is like just like above the water, like that's what's happening.
You're like,
just surviving.
Yeah. You're not seeing any thrashing.
Yeah, but we're surviving. No, it's good. I've always been really busy. Like I'm just a go kind of person. And so I like my schedule to be really busy and like being in control of all those things. Like I've learned actually after having kids that I'm much more controlling than I like initially thought. But then I also started my own business so that I wouldn't have to like listen to anybody. And so I'm like, well, I should have known back then when I like did that I was like, oh, well, that's because I wanted to be the one in control of everything.
The age-old entrepreneur.
I know. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. And then I couldn't work for anyone else. So that's how it happened. You know, it's just, so yeah, the balance is hard, but we've managed. I tell myself every day that I'm like, my kids are gonna get older and like they're gonna go to school and like grow up and like then you can go back to work, because like I worked a ton before they were born, and then I've managed to you also work much more efficiently when you after you like realize you have to get things done, like which is you're like, what was I doing before, like wasting so much time, but like
Literally.
Yeah. And so you figure that out. So you can get a lot more done in the like limited hours that you have. And so I could get a lot done when I had my first, and he was a good sleeper and like a good everything. And so I wasn't tired, and like I had the energy, and like he napped really well. So I could really get all my work done that I was doing before, like in
those 2 hours.
the time. Yeah, the 2 hours. But then he went to bed at 7. And so then like from 7 to 11, like then you're working like 6 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
Which, so that's like a real job.
Yeah.
So then it was fine, and we managed. So it's been trickier now that we've had a second who doesn't sleep, and like they had different schedules. But yeah, much more efficient. And I just, because I own the business and I own my like creator side, I just don't do as much. Despite what my social media looks like, I do less than I did so before. I do a lot with my kids. I do less of like the work stuff.
Right.
And I'm just waiting until they're older before I like really dive into that.
Yeah. So you're really good at prioritizing and choosing what projects you want to work on and how that's going to balance with what your unpredictable day might look like.
And in the moment, it doesn't feel like I've like prioritized it, because it feels like I said, that I'm like drowning every day. But when I've now said it and then you say it back to me, I'm like, no, that is what I've done. It's like chosen the clients I want to work on, chosen which like creator projects I want to do, and then the rest of the time is just for my kids.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of tools have you utilized to like make that work the best? Like, are you really good at calendaring or communicating with your partner? Like,
I wish I had a better answer.
Do you have like a hack for us?
I have no hacks. I used to even have just like a paper like to do,
Yeah.
because I just like couldn't do it technologically.
Yeah.
But now I don't even have anything. I have like a note in my phone that's just like things that have to get done.
Right.
In no particular order, really. Just like these have to be done like sooner than later. Like they're all a priority. Like these have to all be done. And so you just like every day I'm just like, okay, which one either can I like do with my capacity, or like which like what can I do right now to like get something done? And then I'll redo the list like every few days to like so that would be real prioritizing it.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, okay, what is past due? Like, what have I missed? And like, what do I need to do like right now? And what's like one thing I can do? Like, that's how I prioritize it. And so that's no hack. There's no app or anything for that. That's just like your brain having to like keep thinking about all the things you have to do.
I mean, like some people, like I feel like I'm kind of like that too. I really struggle to keep on top of like an agenda.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like you, where it's just like in my brain and I know it has to get done. And most of the time I don't forget.
Yeah. So. And I do write them all down. That's why it's in no order. I'm just like, as I think about them, I'm like, hey, like, don't forget this. Because like you need to do it. And so
sometimes I'll text Sarah and be like, this needs to get done. I'm just texting you so it's somewhere.
Right. Yeah. That's what I did for the podcast today. I texted my husband when he was out. I was like, hey, just so you know, I have to leave the house at 8 p.m. So like, I'm just saying this so that we don't forget. Yeah.
Accountability partner.
Yeah. And once you say it, usually it's like in your brain then.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Yeah. So yeah. And my husband, the communication part is good. So he's used to what my schedule's been like.
Right.
And he hasn't had like a 9-to-5 job either, ever. And so we've both had very like fluid, flexible jobs in like day to day. And he knows what I do. Like sometimes my parents don't know what I like. Sometimes people don't really know what I do like day to day, but like he knows because he's like been home a lot and is around. And so he's not phased if I'm like, okay, I have to work. Like I have to work now from like 2 hours. Like things need to get done. Or I'm like, haven't worked for 2 days. And he's like, okay. Like I'm just trusting you that like something's happening.
I love
That's
that.
a great
That
balance.
was so fun.
Okay, I want to quickly backtrack because you said that it wasn't a hack the way that you navigate your schedule and your life. But I would kind of disagree because what I loved what you said is that you go according to your capacity at that day. And I feel like that's the hack for mothers.
Yeah.
It's like, because you have to recognize, especially once you do have more than one kid, I find, especially, I mean, I haven't had my second one yet, but I can see how that would be a lot more juggling. And, you're just probably a little bit more tapped out.
Yeah.
You have to navigate a lot more, schedules and stuff like that. And so I think addressing that your capacity is going to be different, in different stages and stuff like that. I think that's super empowering.
Yeah.
And validating too. Just be like, okay, right now, today my capacity is like 30%. This is what I can get done.
Yeah. And you like learn what that means. Like what does 30% mean? Because like it means different things to different people. And you're like, at 30% I can like do something that doesn't like you're not thinking about anything. Like sometimes you need to like be creative and like need a brain, and you're just like, well, today's not the day. Like, unless I do it right now, like it's not going to even be better at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's just going to get progressively worse.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
With that, I'd like to dive a little bit more into kind of what life has been like moving from, I guess, being not a single female, because I think you were married before you had kids, but moving from no kids to 1 child to 2 children, and like kind of what the differences are that you've noticed through that, because I only have 1 kid. Sarah's got 1 and another on the way. 1.5.
We're officially half baked, though.
Yeah. So I'd like to know what your experience was with that.
yeah, the transition from no kids to 1 kid was a little different because COVID was in the middle of that.
Right.
So that changed things. And I think my experience of having my first would have been different if COVID didn't exist. Because pre-COVID, like we'll go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've been with my husband, it's been like 14 years or like it's been a long time.
Wow.
So like, was I like just a single, like, yes, basically. I was just living my life. Like we're there, but like,
I feel
you know.
that. I look back to being like 26 and like moving in with Omar, and I still had like, I could do whatever I want, whatever I wanted.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And he worked a lot. Like he was at a job that he would work like 3 nights in a row or like it was whatever. So I felt like we were just living our own lives. But pre-COVID, I would be out of the house all day.
Yeah.
Like I'd go to spin and then I would like go for coffee and then I would go to the gym and then I would like work. Like I would just, my whole day was out of the house and like a whole bunch of different friends. Like it was great. Had a great time. Sometimes I miss those days.
We're all like reminiscing.
I miss those days too.
And then COVID happened and we all like obviously know what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
But then I had my son in June of 2022. So it was like the end of COVID. And I think if my life hadn't stopped before that, like with COVID, like forcing to be home. And like then I had double jaw surgery also.
Oh.
Yeah, during COVID, like in November of 2020. So like COVID happened and then
really slowed down.
So I really slowed down and like I didn't really get back into it because I couldn't because COVID was so weird and like no one knew like what was happening. And so I didn't really get back into like fitness classes every day and I didn't really get back into like just being out of the house all day. And so that really helped my transition to having a baby. Yeah. Because then I was like, well, I'm already home and I'm already working from home and like I'm not really leaving the house as much as I would have. And so yeah, so that really helped. So different experience for different people, but that was the like
experience. Like context.
Yeah, that was the context of like the when he was born.
Yeah.
But it was great and he was a great baby. Turns out the comparison between 1 and 2.
Now you know.
Yeah. He was an angel child and he was super chill and like could take him everywhere and like go for coffee and like live my normal life. So like we took him to Stampede. He was like 2 weeks old. Like we just like
Whoa.
And you don't really know what you're going to be like as a mom either. Like I know a lot of people can't leave the house because they like get anxious or like that kind of thing. Like I didn't have any of that. I was like, let's go. I was like, we need to get out of this house.
I'm living my best life actually.
Yeah. And it was great. And I was like, now I just have a cute little baby to like take photos with. I was like, this is perfect. And so it was fine. It was great. And he was great. And then like I said before, he would sleep. Like he had a good nap schedule. He'd go to bed at 7. We sleep trained him at like 8 months. So he'd slept from 7 till 7 forever. Like he still does that. And it's great.
Yeah.
So I was able to work and I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do. I breastfed him. So I couldn't leave him all day.
Right.
Obviously. But like I said, I was home for a lot more of that. And Chris was home for like the first 3 months. And then he was training for firefighting, but then he became a firefighter. So his schedule was like very at home for the most part.
Yeah.
So that was great. So we were just still living our life. And then the second, it was fine when I was pregnant. I had a great pregnancy. Like I could still work. Like I still worked all the time. I would work out. Walker was there and we would do things and go out. And then when Remy was born, she was not, I think she's a normal baby. I think like, that's just what I learned. I think she's normal. I think it can be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But like Walker was just like, a lot better.
Super chill.
And so she would be up like 10 times a night, like all night, every sleep cycle. She was up. She like fed fine, like she would eat fine. So at least I didn't like struggle with that. But like the sleep deprivation will really get you. And then she wouldn't nap properly. And I think part of that was because I was so used to leaving the house with Walker and like life's around his schedule. So like going from 1 to 2, I found harder than 0 to 1 because you just can't manage all of it. Like I couldn't do both. And like I have them both at home. So like he didn't go to daycare and he was at home. And so I was just used to his schedule. And I was like, well, it's not fair if like you just have to be home while we're waiting for like this baby to sleep. And so she wasn't on a nap schedule or anything. I think that probably caused a lot of problems for her night sleeping, like in hindsight. But I was like, well, like, what am I going to do? I was like, we're not going to stay at home because I'm not a stay at home kind of person.
I feel like
with
that's
my
fairly
kids.
common. For
Yeah.
the second is just like, well, our second is just going to roll with the punches then.
Totally. Yeah.
Toddler is taken off.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And she didn't appreciate that. And so she's like, well, we're not going to sleep at night either then. Like, I'm just never going to sleep.
All right.
Yeah. She's like, you want to party all day? Well, like, we're going to party all night. So that's what happened. And so work was a lot harder.
Yeah.
But I'd set myself up better the second time around. So like when I had Walker, I had hired a girl, but I was still doing a lot of it because like when you first like need to delegate, it's really hard to like let go of things, especially like as a business owner and I wasn't charging enough to really like make enough money and not have to work at the same time. And so, and because he slept well and like did everything well, I was like back working within like a couple weeks, like without even like thinking about it. Cause I'm just like, well, what else am I going to do? Like just sit and stare at this baby. Like I'm like on my phone and my job is on my phone. So like, so I would just work and it was fine. But then this time around, I was like, okay, I want to like not have to work. Like, I don't want to have to think about it. Like I can like, if you want to text me and like, I can give you my opinion, like fine, but I don't actually have to like think about anything or like time sensitive things. Like I don't want to do any of that, which was great. I'm glad I did that because of what happened with her, like of not sleeping and not having a schedule. It was great. So I had hired 2 people. So I had like 4 people working for me.
Wow.
Which was like 2.5 more than it was before.
That's impressive.
So that was great. And so I didn't have to do anything I'm not even back to capacity yet. Yeah. But I basically was off for like 3 or 4 months. One of my hires lost every single client that she was managing. So we lost like $15,000 per month of work. So that was the lesson. So I was like, oh, that's great. Good for you. That was so great. So I didn't have to work, but we also like had a significant hit. In the business, which is the problem with being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because then actually one of the women that works for me, she's like, I don't want you to feel like you can't have another kid because you're worried that your business. I'm like, I'm absolutely worried about my business. And like, I will not be able to just like let it go again.
Yeah.
So so that was a learning experience in all aspects. But then because she wasn't sleeping and she like, I needed more energy to be able to like have both kids, and Chris wasn't off. So the other thing that we did was not take a paternity leave like right away. Because in my head I was like, well, you can't do anything anyway because like I have to breastfeed, forgetting that I have a toddler. Like I was like, well, you could have come and like, you know, hung out with him while I had this newborn. So he wasn't off, so he was still, and he's home because he's a firefighter, but like he was on for his like 24-hour shifts and stuff. And so that was challenging for the first like 3 months. Like he took it in October, so she would have been 3.5 months or ish. So there was a lot happening all the same time. So I couldn't do much with work. I was like, it is what it is. Like people were like, oh, we're just gonna like fire you, and I'm like, so sorry about your experience, but like I can't. Like I wish I could have been your like the one doing your work, but like I couldn't. So it was a learning curve, but I didn't. I didn't hire anyone back. I was just like, okay, well, we're just it is what it is. Like we're not gonna replace these clients. Like you're fired. I fired her twice, actually, because I was very irritated with the whole experience. And then the other girl was an intern, and so she went back to school. And so I was just like, we'll just leave our clients like what it is. I'll do what I can. Like I'll take back the things that like the clients that mean the most. Hopefully all my clients are great. But like some of them I needed to I needed to be the one that was like the manager on them. And so that was how I delegated my time, and then we're kind of that's still where we're at with it. So the 1 to 2 was much harder just in terms of like managing work with a baby, and then also having a baby that was more challenging than the first.
I'm really curious. So we've talked a little bit about like identity and motherhood and how, especially if you're so involved in work before having kids, and it kind of becomes something that's like really personal to you, right? I'm curious how with that second child and kind of how things, you're like, you know, how did that impact your identity with business?
Yeah, it was hard. But I've actually said I've had a few people who own businesses who are like, oh, I'm thinking about having a kid. And like, I watch like, you're like the inspiration for like running a business and having kids. And like, you realize that there's more to life than just working. Right. Which was a great realization that I had. Cause like, if I wouldn't have had kids. And I say that to Chris because sometimes she's like, oh, like, what if we didn't have kids? Like, what would your life would be like? Like, you'd have sleep and like, you'd have money and like, you know, like all these things. But I'm like, but then I would just work. Yeah. But I was like, well, first of all, it's too late, so it doesn't matter. Like, I would just work for like 80 hours a week. Like, I would never have like stopped.
Right.
And I'm like, is that like, it's fine. Like, people can work for sure. But like, I would just work nonstop. Like, I wouldn't have been like, oh, I'm going to get a 9 to 5 and then like, I'll have like all this vacation time and we can like, I'll like have boundaries and like, you know, like like
you wouldn't have gotten to that point.
No,
you know,
like,
honestly,
I would have had a lot of money.
You're
but...
speaking my life right now. Like, I don't think I would have stopped work. Well, like, I wouldn't have stopped working the same capacity I was working without having a child.
Yeah, because like, what else are you doing with your time? Because people are like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, I just work. My hobby is my work. And like,
which is awesome.
Yeah. You enjoy it.
I enjoy it. And it was great. But like, that's what kids taught me. Yeah. And so that was an easier way to shift my identity. Just being like, I'm happy that I'm not just like working all the time. And then I can like appreciate work when I get to work. And then like, I can really appreciate like being with my kids, knowing that like, it's fast and it like, you need to be present and that type of thing. And it probably has something to do with like being an entrepreneur and being able to like choose when I get to work and being in digital marketing, where like it can happen at 10 p.m. Like, I don't have, like, I can do everything. I need to sleep, but like, if I wanted to, I could just, but I can do it all at night. Like, I don't have to do anything during the day really, besides like a couple meetings or a couple calls. And so that's also a privilege of getting to a pro and con of running your own business.
Yeah. You have to learn to balance it for sure. Yeah. I'm sure like, you know, comparing the two experiences, it's really easy to start to slip down to like, oh, I'm just going to run myself ragged because I enjoy my work or because there's more to do, or you know, you want to take on a more workload. So that's, again, still inspiring that you, you know, learn that about yourself and you're like, no, like let's put some brakes on, because you're right. Time does go fast. Yeah. Have you felt like it's been like the last 6 months?
The second one, oh my God. I can't. And I actually said this to my mom, was like, we treat her like she's way younger than she really is, because she just seems young because she's just a baby, and like they're obviously growing at the same time, so like she's always going to seem like way younger than her. But I'm like, she's almost 9 months. I'm like when my son was 9 months, like we went to Mexico for a week. Like, we're like, all right, like you're good now. Like, we'll just believe
you're crawling.
So,
and like,
exactly.
You're fine.
And so this, I like have to remind myself that I'm like, no, like she's older than, like, it's already been 8 months, and so like she can eat real food and like she can do things. So it goes by. Like, I hate that because people are like, just so you know, like, it goes by fast. Like, the second one's even faster. But, like, it's true. Like, it's crazy how fast the second one goes. Like, especially when, like, and I don't know if you guys were the same with clothes, where the first one, you're like, okay, this was a gift. At this age, we have to wear it because, like, you know, this time around, I'm just like, well, we missed that by, like, 4 months. So I'm like, sorry. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you've been wearing. I like.
You're just, like, rotating the same, like, favorite 4 sleepers.
Actually, though. Yeah. Like, you just. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. And so that also puts like work in perspective too. You know, she was like, what have we even been doing? Like, does it even really matter? What, like, you know, like, no offense again to my clients. Like, they're all great, but like, I do social media. So like, you know.
You have to recognize that there's
more important jobs than social media. And so like, sometimes you're just like, oh, like, I'm glad I spent time with my kids instead. So like, as fast as it's going, I know that I've spent as much time as I possibly can, like, being present with them.
Nice.
To even to the point now with Walker, who's like, he'll be starting preschool in the fall, but I'm like, he probably wants to like do other things besides like hang out with me. Like, he wants friends and like he's excited to like meet people. So I'm like, okay, we're at like a good
developmental stage.
Like, I feel like I've done it as best as I can to like balance work and being a mom, even if it's stressful, because I know like today I could just like look at my emails and I'm like, oh God, I'm like, I need to reply to these, and like I haven't replied to them because it's just been like a long day. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll reply to them at 10 p.m. And like, it is what it is. Like, hopefully nobody really needs
Your
anything.
Clients need to expect that at this point, right?
Yeah. So like, that's hard to like see it, but yeah, knowing that like they grow up, you're just.
And you don't get that time back, right?
You don't get it back. And you really appreciate like the second time around where you're just like, and then you get to look at your toddler too and be like, well, you're also only going to be a toddler for like the 3 years or whatever. And it goes by fast. And so I feel like I've actually, now that I've said it out loud, I feel like I've done a pretty good job at like balancing it.
Good for you.
You know, in my head, knowing that I can eventually grow my business again. Because it is hard to say no to like opportunities or like not work as much. But
I'm really curious to know how your relationship with Chris has shifted through kids and business and all the things.
Yeah, business, not so much because I've been doing it for
The same.
a long time.
Yeah.
And he's been around for a really long time and it's evolved.
Yeah.
And so he's been there as like the evolution
Yeah.
has happened.
Yeah.
And he's really good at just letting me
Yeah.
like do whatever I
Yeah.
need to do. Like he's
Yeah.
not wondering what's happening.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
which is great. I mean, he had the influencer stuff is a little bit for him because I'm like, you have to film this, you have to do this. Like, are you going to be in it?
He's now a like a cameraman.
Yeah, he's like the Instagram husband
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, what am I getting out of this? I was like,
Time
you've gone- yeah, I was like, well, I've taken you to NFL games and stuff. I was like, you're okay.
Ooh.
Like, we have some okay partnerships, but so that's all been good. But yeah, having kids, you really learn about communication and like and things like it's so funny because people are like, oh, you should move in together before you like get married, and like, but I'm like, having kids, you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, there's no like you can maybe get a dog, but like
You don't really know.
what's coming. No, it's not the same. And so it's always good to know. You're like, okay, well, at least you like made it. Like, I guess we're compatible, which is nice. But yeah, communication and like how you're gonna parent your kids, and also not because like obviously I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but like you are doing it the best. And you don't want to like say it to them. you're like, okay, like nice try, but like let's not do it like that,
It takes everything within me to say not that. I didn't think about that.
Exactly. So you can't say it, but I feel like that's the hard part. But like you have to just be a team instead of being again like the control thing where you're just like, okay, well, we could do it that way, or but I think that's
worse, but okay.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Like, let's see what happens. Like,
So why did you choose to do it this way? Tell me your reasoning.
choice.
Why this was.
So things like that, where like you don't realize that that's part of like your relationship dynamic until you have to like learn how to just communicate less sometimes. Where, like
that's true.
and just like you're like, okay, I chose you as the dad for a reason. So like we're hoping for the best.
Yeah. And you're gonna be an equal partner in this. Like you want that for your
your
experience for like you as within a marriage.
Yes.
But also for your kids to see and to have like equal experience with your with your their mom or dad.
I just sometimes have to like walk away and just let him parent how he's gonna parent.
Totally.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, because like they grew up differently than like you grew up. So like that's like a factor. And so yeah, that's a huge thing I feel like it hasn't changed negatively by any means. It's just like a different dynamic that you don't like realize. Yeah.
What was the change between 1 to 2 kids for you and Chris? Like, were you able
He's having a rough time. So from zero to 1 was fine. So that was the same time he transitioned his job too. So he like quit his job, and then we had Walker and he was off, and then he started fire. And so I think that was fine because he also didn't have a job and he was just chilling. But he was prepared. We were prepared for him to be like, you need to be there because like that's just like, I don't know, like no one, you don't know what's gonna happen. And like it turned out to be like a super easy pregnancy, a super easy birth, like an easy baby. And I breastfed, and so he did a lot of golfing and fishing for like those 3 months.
That's really nice.
Don't let my
He had a great time.
Josh got into golfing last year. I'm like, no.
Yeah, there was a lot of just like
Sorry.
Yeah, you're just sorry.
This is your fault.
And so because I was like, well, don't sit here and stare at me. Like, I'm like, I have my shows. Like, I need to catch up on like Housewives. So like, I'm like, you go, like the baby, we're good.
Yeah.
And so that was his first experience with like having a baby.
Yeah.
And then he started fire, and like same thing, like Walker came everywhere, and like I would take him to coffee and meeting. Like we would do everything.
Yeah.
And so Chris was there, and like he was great. Like he would hang out with Walker when we need or like whatever, but like he slept and he ate, and I just breastfed him. Like he didn't even take a bottle until he was like 10 months old.
Yeah.
Literally same.
Right. And so like he was living a normal life. He thought his life had changed, but it hadn't. And so then we had Remy, whom, like I said, was a much more challenging baby. And even if she wasn't, like even if I just like, even if you have a second baby, you have another baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I still chose to breastfeed. So again, even if she was sleeping, he needs to hang out with Walker more and like just like do more things and like cook more and clean more and just like the things they don't realize that you were doing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And like again, that's like a
normal
it's equal,
shift
yeah.
within the two.
Like how equal your relationship is depends on the day and depends on the relationship. But like
Absolutely.
they realized that you were probably doing more than they thought you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's had a much harder time adjusting to having two kids. And I think this is the adjustment that I probably went through with the first baby.
Right.
When you're like life changes and like you can't do everything that you want to do and you have to like change your whole schedule to like be with the baby. And I think now he's realizing that that's what's happening because now he has a responsibility of like, I mean, both my kids are Velcro kids, so it's still like all on me for the most part, but he still has to be available when I do need him to like, and like he puts Walker to bed for the most part because like I put Remy to bed. So like he does step up to like do a lot of those things. So he's had a like much more of a challenge with the second one coming around and actually sleep training because she was like a bad sleeper, like 8 to 10 times a night. And so then we realized that like I can't feed her every time she wakes up. So I'm like, okay, like you can go in and like rock her and pat her and like whatever and like do whatever. And he did it for like 2 days maybe.
Oh.
And he was up like for a long, because I was like, I can't feed her again for like 3 hours. So like, and he's like, yeah, like you sleep. Like I turned off them. Like I'm like, this is on you.
Yeah, because the monitor's on, you're not sleeping.
Yeah, because I can't feed her. So like it doesn't matter. And so it happened for 2 nights. He's like, I think we should sleep train tonight. I was like, I've been awake every night for 6 months, but you were awake for 2 nights. And I was like, yeah, for sure. We should do it. Like you need someone to be like, this is silly. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the difference between like what happened with the first baby and the second baby. He was just like, I don't want to be up. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's nice.
Yeah, those are the moments where you're like, I'm just gonna
I'm like, all right, sleep train it is. Like so it's been a challenge for him. But I think like again, it just you have to go through that shift in like your life and like we just do it earlier and quicker and like you're pregnant. I've heard that a lot where like women are better because like you're pregnant for 9 months and so you can think about it all the time. Where like my husband, especially because I had an easy pregnancy, like I wasn't sick and I wasn't tired. I was just living my normal life. Like he would forget I was pregnant for the most part until I was like visibly pregnant.
Yes.
And so I think that's like you just have to give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes that like they just don't think about things the same. And so
And I think like what I'm hearing you say too is that he's like coming to these realizations.
He is. And like we'll have those conversations. And same thing, you can't be like, well, I told you so. You're just like, that's great. Like I'm glad we're now on the same page. Like and he's good. And you do realize like that you have like a partner in like when they become a parent because like he does validate me. Like I don't have to always say it. He's like, I know that like it's harder on you or like the kids want you and like you're more tired and you're still like he is good at that. And he's like, and you still have to work and like you know, like he gets all of that, which is nice. But sometimes I'm like, hi, like this is really hard. Like can you please like acknowledge that?
That's good.
I think something I've realized is it almost doesn't matter how amazing your partner is. It's just always going to be hard, and sometimes you have to say it, and sometimes you don't, and it's just going to have to be like
and I think what it comes down to too is like, is your partner a good person at the end of the day? And if they are, then like, well, let's keep rolling. You know,
Totally.
You're both learning and growing together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Way
cool. It is a lot to wrap your head around having 1 to 2 and
my
time that I'm worried.
Lots of people say it's easier.
It's
going to be easier. Yeah.
It's true. There's a lot of things I'm definitely, you know, like, okay, at least I kind of know it a little bit to expect. Granted, I'm not running a bunch of business.
Well, I mean,
I'm busy. I'm doing other things, but I don't have like clients breathing down my neck right now. So there's that. Yeah, but I just want to hear maybe a little bit more on some of, I don't know, how you've managed to not compare your 2 kids. Because I think given that your first was so much easier and now that your plate is so full and you have this more, I hesitate to say more difficult, but more challenging child, more normal maybe child.
Everyone listening, they're like, that's just what kids are like. Sorry guys.
Our expectations are just really high. How have you managed to not like feel any sort of resentment or like, oh, this is so hard, you know?
Well, I do have that.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. You can have that.
Yeah.
How do you navigate not comparing the 2 then?
I think once like it's so interesting because they're really different, but like the milestones part of it, where like he was very slow. Like he didn't roll over until like 8 months and he didn't crawl until 10 months. And like then he walked like right away actually. But like it was all just like very slow and he was like very chill and like the whole thing. So like she rolled over at 3 months. And I was like, oh my God. And it's like, that was the first where I was like, oh, these babies are not the same. Like I already knew they weren't the same because she wasn't sleeping and like she's very squirmy and like very just like a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But like those milestones, like the actual like where people keep track of them milestones, I was like, oh, okay, here, this is what we're doing. And so that was like the first one where I was like, okay, they're not gonna be the same. It's like she's obviously not sleeping either, so like they're not gonna be the same. But like I just was like, okay, this is a new baby. So I'm like Googling, I'm like I felt like I'd never had a kid before.
Yeah, you're like, what actually happened for 3 months?
Like what are these like, because we never had sleep regressions. He had no teething problems, like literally nothing. And like I've had friends being like, I thought you were lying. Like I thought you just like were like didn't know. And I was like, no. Like
Didn't. Yeah.
I like
wild.
Yeah, he had nothing. And so all of this is now, like I said, she's a normal baby. I think. Like it's just normal things, but I didn't experience anything. Yeah. And so I just changed my perspective into being like, just pretend you didn't have a baby.
Yeah.
Like, because nothing is the same. And so I find it harder not to compare kids to other kids more than I find comparing them to each other, because like once you realize, and like once they get past the like potato stage, like you do realize they're like different people and like they do things at different. So it's, and maybe it'll come later, like when they're talking or reading, like those skills where you don't want to like compare, especially like boy and a girl. But yeah, for the most part, I've wrapped my head around that. Like I've now accepted that like she is more challenging and is not going to be the same as like the experience I have with him. And I'm like, well, good thing you're still easy. Like he still sleeps and he still like does everything. So I'm like, at least like
he's good.
I understand what's going to happen with him. Yeah. And so that does help. But yeah.
I definitely find like the not comparing my kid to other kids to be a bit of like, even like Poppy is way better at talking than Arden is, and she's like 2.5 or 3 months younger than him. So like sometimes I'm like, Arden, like when are you gonna start talking? And then I have to remind myself, like I would say like Arden's probably a little bit more like confident and independent.
It's very adventurous
than Poppy. So like I feel like they're just like at different places and different, you know.
Yeah. Just
and like
strengths.
Both are like. Eventually they're both going to talk and eventually they're both going to be independent and like it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, I think a large part of that is releasing like any sort of kind of control issues, kind of you're saying as a mom. Yeah. Is like, okay, like you're just a kid doing kid things and I'm just going to do what I can to parent you or
like keep you
help
safe.
You along the way or whatever. But yeah, it's just going to be how it is. And I think that aspect of it can just take a lot of anxiety out of it, like the pressure. And so I think that's really healthy that you've come to that place where you're like, okay, I'm just not even gonna
totally, because there's nothing to compare at this point. There's nothing to compare. Because
that's just it.
Unless like depending on when she walks, because he walked when he was like early at like 12 months. He did nothing and then he was like, okay, I'm ready, like let's go. But like that would be the only comparison. But like when you have the second, you're like, sit down. Especially for her. I'm like, you don't have to walk. I'm like, we don't need to like meet his milestone. I'm like, you can wait until you're 18 months. Like, by all means, just like army crawl your way until later.
I need you to stay stationary, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I find the comparison isn't even there.
Yeah.
That's so great.
That's good.
Good for you. Can you give yourself a little bit of acknowledgement for how well you're doing? Like,
it sounds better when you talk to somebody about it. It's not like your husband.
That's so true. I feel like you definitely need to like vocalize some things. Be like, whoa, I'm actually a rock star. Way to go, me. Because it is really awesome. It's encouraging to me as I'm preparing for my second child. But just like, I think our audience in general will appreciate your perspective, and I feel you just have kind of like a calm energy about it. Whereas I feel like a lot of newer moms with just like their first is like, oh my gosh, like, what's your kid doing? Or like, how am I going to sleep? Or how, like all these what ifs. Yeah. And so that's kind of the nice thing to acknowledge about maybe like a second and maybe give a little bit of encouragement to our audience too, for that matter. Just be like, it's going to be okay.
Totally. Yeah.
It might be different, but you survive your worst days and you're obviously proving that you can do more than that, which is, again, I think part of our mission a little bit. Like you can choose what your motherhood looks like. Yeah. And so maybe just to wrap things up, if you could give one piece of advice to our audience, I'm trying to like narrow it down. What should our advice be about?
Let's just roll with advice. I want to know it.
Any piece of advice that you could give to our audience.
Yeah, I think kind of what you just said. Well, first that it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay in general. if like, unless you have other health, like unless there's other problems,
Yeah.
like in general, everything's going to be okay. And I'm not, I do have like the less anxiety energy. Like I'm very like go with the
You're
flow.
pretty chill.
I'm a super chill kind of person. And so that really helps, which I know people have much more anxiety about like kids and stuff. So I could be irritating to some people. I'm like, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
More helpful.
But it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But then to just like appreciate your own journey for what it is and not to compare. Like I spend a lot of time on the internet and I create the mom content. So I understand that I'm also like contributing to what someone's comparing to. Cause you're like, cause even like you've said that you're like, oh, like I watch what you've done and like you've done so much and it's so inspiring. And like the internet can be a hard place to be as a mom, especially if you have anxiety, especially if you're trying to like compare your kid. Cause I've had a lot of people message me being like, oh my God, but like, what about this? And what about that? And like, don't worry about what we're doing over here. Like it's going to be okay. And so I think that's part of it is like, even to get off the internet if you like have to, or like get off the mom side of the internet. Like don't go be on TikTok, mom talk.
Mom to mom too.
Yes. Yeah. Like just don't do that. And if you do feel like the weird energy, either like unfollow them or block them, or if you're a friend, like maybe don't talk to them about those kind of things because like, it causes unnecessary stress. Like
100%.
I know it's a little bit cliche, but like they're your kids. And it's like, you know, instinctively, like what it's gonna, like what they're doing or what they're not doing. And so I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice, and to still enjoy the things that you want to enjoy.
Yeah.
So bring your kid, like if, like I said, I brought my kids to coffee, I brought them to workout classes, like I did as much as I could with them, and then also accept help from people or ask for help. And I'm not great at asking for help, which is probably why my kids are attached to me all the time and they don't really like hanging out with my husband, so that's probably part of my fault. But like ask for help so that you can do the things you want to do by yourself as well, because like you can love your kids and like want to do everything with them, and like they're at home with me all the time, like I want to spend as much time with them, but like I also need time to like do things by myself, like either just like grocery shop by yourself or like you know, do those things. And so I think that's important too, so like if you have the help to like just ask for it, because otherwise people aren't necessarily gonna offer it, you know, especially if you look like you're okay
handling it.
You know? So that was a lot more than one piece of advice.
Oh, those are some good nuggets. I love it.
They were really
Thank
good
you.
nuggets. Yeah. 100%.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
This
Thanks
has been
for
so
letting me talk about myself.
Anytime.
And it feels super weird.
No, I love it. That's
so
my
good.
favorite part of being podcasting now is like hearing other people's experiences and just getting to chit chat. We're just girls hanging out.
No, I love it. And if anyone's listening and they want to chit chat about any of this stuff, I'm always there. In
And on
DMs.
on that note, do you want to just share where people can find you?
It's Almost Famous, which is a whole other story in itself. But there's two F's in it.
around that. I can't believe we didn't talk about it.
It doesn't mean anything. I didn't watch the movie. I've never seen like Almost Famous. I've never like listened to there's some Eminem song. I don't know. None of it. I have no idea what it started in 2016 on Twitter. I don't know. Anyway, the first time someone said it out loud, I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, that's so embarrassing. But I can't change it because it is what it is now. But there's two F's in there. My DMs are always open. And that's what, I'm on TikTok too on the same handle, but like Instagram is where I am.
Yeah.
I'm a millennial. So I'm on Instagram.
That millennial love.
Exactly.
Love it.
So great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, you guys. And thank you to our audience for following along. We really appreciate all the love and support. And let us know if you want to hear more from Rachel, what you'd like to hear going forward. And with that, have a great day. Much love. Bye.